If you want to change your financial future, you first have to change the way you think. And here's the harsh truth: most people will never become rich, not because they aren't capable, but because they are stuck in a mindset that guarantees mediocrity. Billionaires don't think like average people. They don't even think like millionaires. They play on a completely different level, where the rules are not the same, the risks are not the same, and the opportunities are not the same. If you can understand how billionaires think, you can start to rewire your brain to see the world differently, make decisions differently, and position yourself to create wealth instead of chasing it. The reason you are here, watching this video, is because a part of you already knows that your current way of thinking has limits. Today, I will show you how billionaires think, not in cliches, not in motivational slogans, but in the raw psychological and strategic frameworks that they actually use. And if you stay until the end, you will walk away with a new lens through which you see money, time, and power. The first and most important thing to understand is that billionaires think in terms of leverage. Most people think about how much money they can earn per hour. A billionaire asks, "How can I build something that earns even while I sleep?" For an average person, the path to more income is usually more work, more hours, and more effort. But billionaires see that hours are limited, while systems, capital, and people are scalable. Jeff Bezos did not become the world's richest man by working 20 hours a day packing boxes. He became wealthy by building a system that allowed millions of transactions to happen without him being physically present. Elon Musk does not manufacture each Tesla car. He builds factories, hires talent, and leverages capital so that the work is multiplied beyond his personal capacity. This is the difference. You are trading time while they are trading leverage. Until you break that trap of trading time for money, you will always remain capped. Thinking like a billionaire means asking yourself every day, how can I multiply this effort through systems, capital, or people? The second principle is that billionaires focus obsessively on solving big problems. If you solve a small problem, you may make a living. If you solve a massive problem, you may change the world and become wealthy beyond measure. Consider Bill Gates. His vision was to put a computer on every desk in every home. That was not a small problem. It required massive innovation, partnerships, and decades of persistence, but because the problem was so large, the reward was equally massive. Look around you. Ordinary people spend their time trying to optimize small things, like how to save a few dollars on groceries or how to squeeze a little more out of their paycheck. Billionaires spend their time asking, what problem do millions, even billions, of people face, and how can I be the one to solve it? This doesn't mean you need to invent the next Microsoft or Tesla, but it means you must stop focusing on crumbs and start focusing on the entire bakery. If your goals are small, your results will always be small. Third, billionaires understand the value of long-term vision. Most people want quick results. They want to see their paycheck every 2 weeks. They want to see their investment double in 6 months. They want everything fast. But billionaires operate on decades-long horizons. Warren Buffett famously said that his favorite holding period is forever. He doesn't care about the next quarter. He cares about the next 20 years. That patience allows him to make decisions others are too impatient to see through. Think about Amazon. For years, the company lost money, reinvesting every dollar back into growth. Wall Street critics said it was reckless. Today, it dominates e-commerce, cloud computing, and more because Bezos was willing to endure short-term pain for long-term dominance. If you want to think like a billionaire, you must kill the addiction to instant gratification. Replace it with discipline, patience, and the ability to delay reward in pursuit of exponential future growth. Another essential shift is that billionaires see risk differently. Average people are terrified of risk because they see it as potential loss. Billionaires see risk as opportunity, as the price of entry into greatness. They don't take blind risks, but they take calculated ones that others are too afraid to touch. Elon Musk risked nearly all of his fortune after selling PayPal to fund SpaceX and Tesla. At one point, he was borrowing money to pay rent while pouring every dollar into ventures that everyone said would fail. Today, those companies have transformed industries and made him the wealthiest man alive. The lesson here is simple. If you want safety, you will stay average. If you want extraordinary results, you must learn to embrace calculated risk and to trust your ability to adapt, pivot, and survive. Billionaires also think differently about failure. For most people, failure is an end. For billionaires, failure is simply feedback. Every major billionaire has failed, often multiple times, before finding success. Richard Branson has launched dozens of businesses that failed miserably, but he treats them as experiments that teach him what works and what doesn't. Failure does not define them, it refines them. The average person is so afraid of failing that they never even start. Billionaires, on the other hand, see failure as the cost of progress. The difference is not in intelligence or luck, it is in mindset. If you want to think like a billionaire, you must become comfortable with failure. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What will I learn when I do?" That mental shift removes fear and replaces it with power. Now, let's talk about networks and influence. Billionaires understand that wealth is not created in isolation. They build empires by surrounding themselves with brilliant minds, strong allies, and powerful connections. They know that who you know often matters just as much as what you know. That's why billionaires spend time at the right tables, in the right rooms, building relationships that open doors most people never even see. Think about this: the average person spends time gossiping, wasting hours on entertainment, or staying within their small circle of friends who all think the same way. Billionaires intentionally build networks that elevate them, challenge them, and multiply their reach. If you want to think like a billionaire, start evaluating your circle. Are the people around you pulling you up, or are they pulling you down? Finally, billionaires think in terms of legacy. Money itself is not the end goal. It is a tool to shape the future, to influence generations, to create lasting impact. That's why you see billionaires dedicating fortunes to philanthropy, innovation, or ambitious projects that go beyond their lifetime. For them, the game is not just about how much they earn, it's about how much they can change. Legacy thinking gives them a bigger why that fuels endless drive. Average people think about paying the next bill. Billionaires think about reshaping industries, societies, and even humanity's future. So, how do you start thinking like a billionaire today? Begin by shifting your mindset. Stop trading time for money and start thinking in terms of leverage. Stop focusing on small problems and start solving big ones. Stop craving instant gratification and start planning for decades. Stop fearing risk and start managing it strategically. Stop avoiding failure and start learning from it. Stop surrounding yourself with mediocrity and start building networks of greatness. And above all, stop thinking about money as the finish line and start thinking about impact, influence, and legacy. The path to becoming a billionaire is not about being born lucky, it is not about having the perfect idea, and it is not about working harder than everyone else. It is about thinking differently, making decisions most people are too afraid to make, and seeing the world through a lens of abundance instead of scarcity. If you can master that way of thinking, you may not just build wealth, you may build an empire.